together.
Yeah, I did it for, what, a year and a half? Almost 2 years?
And then you left.
Yeah, I pieced out.
Yeah, I get it. I run people off.
Hey, bigger bag.
Next thing we know.
I saw a bigger bag, and I'm like,
right.
Portal, baby.
Well,
tampering.
Are you opening for Sister Hazel? Because Michael Haney did the other day, so that'll be you next.
That'll be me. Yeah, that'll be me next.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
Except I'm more of like a triangle guy. That's probably the more extent of my musician
That's all right.
capabilities.
Yeah.
Can play a mean triangle.
They need it. Ding.
At like age 8, I was really good at the xylophone.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Had to for school. And I
Okay.
was like, you know what? I got this. This
Now,
is easy.
good at it, or just like in the sense of banging on it, or like good at it in terms of actually making music that sounded
Good at it enough to be able to do it as a part of a larger program that our school put on.
Wow.
Which means I was able to follow the very simple instructions of reading the music and hitting the xylophone
Nice, man.
at the correct spot.
Nice. I did not know that was in you.
Yeah, at age 8, I didn't know it was either, and I accomplished something magical.
Yeah, well, that's good. You'll be hanging out for the next couple of days. Now, I understand that tomorrow you don't have to do the morning show.
I do not.
All right, that's good.
I'll be sleeping in.
All right, there you go. That'll be new. And Wednesday?
And Wednesday.
All right, Terry.
How about that? I don't know. I'm going to do it myself.
Before we get into the news of the day, and there's a lot. Terry is away for the first part of the week. His daughter just graduated from the University of Colorado out in Boulder, beautiful Boulder, Colorado.
Shout out Rashawn Salam.
And that's right, Cordell Stewart, everybody. They had fun back then.
Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, Chauncey was a good ball player. But he flew out to Boulder, and now they are renting a U-Haul and driving all of her stuff back across America to the East Coast.
Well, good thing it's only 25 minutes.
Nope.
Oh. Am I reading this wrong? No, it's 25 hours. Yeah.
And that's of driving.
Oh.
Bro.
Oh.
Yeah, in a U-Haul. I told him I hope it has an 8-track.
Well, and I hope you brought multiple 8 tracks, because if you're just going to listen to the same one over and over again, that's enough to send a man into a state of
Seals
psychosis.
and Croft.
Actually, it's just stuck on Summer Breeze, so it's 25 hours of Summer Breeze.
And England Dan and John Ford Coley. That's what he's got on the old 8-track machine. Good stuff from back in the day.
It's an old Robert Johnson tape, actually.
Yeah.
Just
grainy. Did they put Robert Johnson on the 8-track? I don't know.
Somebody might have.
Yeah, somebody probably did. But anyway, I don't wish it, but he's a good dad.
He's taking one for the team.
Because I might have said, I'll just hire you somebody to do it and drive it. I don't know that I could do. Listen, I don't like driving to Atlanta.
No.
And you and I talked about that. Like when we drove back from Atlanta last year, I was like, you know what, dude, this is far enough. Like 200 miles is about it for me. Otherwise, can I just get on a plane?
Made the trek this weekend, and I was driving back, and I was like,
yeah, you went to a Braves game.
I did. Yeah.
They won.
Game on Saturday.
I don't even know which one you went to, but I can just say they won.
They did, because they swept.
Yeah.
I was there on Saturday. It was fun.
Yeah. That was a comeback win.
It was.
Yeah.
Saw a Dom Bomb in the game, too.
Dom's doing all right, man. Braves are I'm pleasantly surprised. I figured they'd be back to where they needed to be, whatever that might look like.
I figured they'd be better because they were going to be healthy.
Yeah, well, last year was just a
best team in the National League. Didn't foresee, at least by, June 8th.
Yeah, 24 games over and 10 games up. So
pretty good.
I'll take it. But Elijah's going to hang out. I will be away tomorrow, at least for a bit. I'll be working remotely tomorrow. I'll just say I got to go to Durham for my next set of checkups. And I'll be back on Wednesday.
Say hi to Manny Diaz.
That's right. And I had a friend of mine say, hey, since you're going to be in Durham, why don't you just stop over in Chapel Hill and see if you can talk to Scott Forbes? And I was like, well, Scott Forbes might be on the way to Omaha. I'm not really sure how that works.
He's not going to be here.
Yeah. So let's start there, and then we will get into the whole Sorsby thing, too, I assure you. And if you hadn't heard about that one yet, just hang tight, kids, because as some of y'all say, Mount St. J might blow.
It's on eruption watch.
Actually,
I think, you know what? Warning.
We're rumbling. The Richter scale is going off, and their steam is rising from the dome. It just hadn't erupted as of yet, but
he's ready for a good one.
It may. No news over the weekend on the Gamecock baseball search for those just tuning in to your first sports news of the day locally, and that has a lot of people now, I guess, concerned. I'm not surprised, but what it clearly demonstrates is that Jeremiah Donati has someone else, or others, plural, that he feels he simply must interview and speak with before he makes this decision. And I don't have a problem with that. I know for some it gets to feel problematic in that you haven't made a hire with the transfer portal open, and that's fair. But unless and you can't really say these things without sounding like it's somewhat critical of Kevin Schnall. But unless both sides absolutely just 100% know, in Jeremiah's case, that's my guy, and in Kevin's case, that's the job I want, then this makes sense. And I don't think it's problematic, Elijah, that you've got candidates that are still active. There's an irony in that, dadgummit, the guy I want just made it to Omaha.
Or it's like, like, good for you. Now you're really impressing me, but at the same time, like,
right. What if you, for instance, and let's just use Scott Forbes, because Scott Forbes' name, that's the head coach at North Carolina. His name came up, as I said, was joking with Terry, it re-entered the chat, last, Wednesday or so, and seemed to pick up some momentum rather quickly, only to seemingly at the same time, or just a few minutes later, if you will, have it kind of die back down. I think it's legit, but I reached out to some folks that I know up that way. The feeling up there is, no, Scott Forbes is going to remain in Chapel Hill. Yeah, I assure you. And I'm like, okay. Okay.
Find that interesting.
There's also conflicting information today about exactly what Scott Forbes makes, and we haven't really seen the new details of the extension that he signed in March. Mm-hmm. There's a site that I know Terry cited called frontofficesports.com that said he made $1.7 million. But then Baseball America going into the season, now unless that's the new number, Baseball America going into the season didn't have Scott Forbes in their top 15, and I think the lowest of the top 15 was like 1-2, 1-1, something like that. Like Paul Maneri was in the top 15. Mm-hmm. But like Steve Saban didn't making that much at West Virginia.
Nope.
And Dan Fitzgerald's not making that much at Kansas. So whoever's going to take this job is going to get a hefty raise. And Kevin Schnall's making in the sixes, I think, at Coastal. Don't know how y'all portrayed a lot of this morning. But again, I come back to it. I understand the angst. I think there's been angst since March.
Yeah.
But I will say, in terms of Jeremiah being as thorough as he can, this time around especially, I just think there is an added sense of urgency to make sure that you get it right.
Right. Add sense of urgency. It's hard to be patient in this sort of thing, too, because coaching searches are fun when they first start, and you can start speculating names. Then you start getting hot boards, and you start getting rumors, and you get to the fun stuff. That has a shelf life of about a month max, I think, at least for me personally. The fact that this got, the firing of Paul Maneri happened so early in the season, and you still had so much season left, that maybe evaluating how Monty Lee did might hold you over a little bit, but it can only do so much. And now you get to the point where the transfer portal's now open. You've lost players, and of course, because by virtue of just not having a head coach, you're not bringing any in right now, but that can definitely change. There might be some players that are holding off, right? You don't know how that's going to go down. So I understand maybe a lack of patience, because I'm kind of getting antsy too, from a personal standpoint. But also, I think my prevailing feeling here, Jay Phillips, is that I actually appreciate the patience in which Jeremiah Donati is going about this, because I don't want you to just hire the guy that's the convenient hire, even if he is a really good baseball coach. Mm-hmm. Kevin Schnall is a really good baseball coach over at Coastal Carolina. Done a fantastic job. And to be one of the 4 teams that was in the College World Series last year that actually was good enough this year to get back to the tournament when half the field missed,
yeah, I know, right?
I think still says something, even in a season that they would consider having a disappointing ending to it, right? Injuries and all. As good as a coach as he is, if you do truly believe that the best coach out there is still coaching his team in Omaha, and you still feel like you have enough leverage to be able to bring them to Columbia, you have to wait. This hire is too important not to, right? It's too important to get a lot of excitement of people back in the seats, to be able to turn this program around and get it out from whatever pits of baseball hell you're in right now, to be able to get it to where this fan base and this program deserves for it to be, or at least to be able to reflect in your financial investment in it. If it's that important, I can appreciate the due diligence to be able to wait it out a little bit, especially considering the fact that some of the guys that you might be waiting it out for are coaching at the sport's biggest stage where you want to be.
Yeah, and I said that last week, and I completely agree with you. And this time around, unlike 2017, where South Carolina seemingly had zeroed in on Kevin O'Sullivan and maybe no one else, and then Kevin in Florida go on and win the World Series, where you're not hiring him at that point in time, right? So I know what I'm getting ready to say sounds somewhat ridiculous, but it feels like with Kevin Schnall, being back at home as still one of the leading candidates, you may have upwards of 3, if not, that are now going to be in Omaha. And I don't know, it feels like Dan Fitzgerald did kind of fall off the list. I don't know if he also re-enters the chat.
Hey, he's got more time on his hands now after today.
Yeah, and by the way, Oklahoma just beat Kansas. I think final score was 13-2. So Oklahoma is the 8th team, and so the World Series field is set, and we'll give you all that coming up throughout the afternoon as well. But again, it sounds ridiculous, but it's true. Steve Sabins, Scott Forbes, Skylar Meade are all in Omaha. Even if one of them wins the College World Series and decides to remain at his current school, the other 2 didn't. So you don't have a Kevin O'Sullivan situation.
Because the funny thing about the College World Series, Jay Phillips, is only one team can win the College World Series.
Only one winner. And again, I appreciate that perhaps 9 years ago you thought, all right, we're going to get Kevin, and that'll be great. And then, boom, the one thing that could keep that from happening happened.
Yeah.
And again, I find it ironic that you're like, please lose, please lose, please. There's
against them.
Yeah, you want to be successful. So I'm with you. I think this time, look, anytime you need to get it right. But if there is a case where you could say this one just has a greater sense, as I mentioned, of urgency to it, if that's the right word to use. I imagine you could label it with a lot of words in terms of how important this particular baseball hire is. But this one's it. And so make sure. And yeah, now if you do have 1, 2, 3 candidates, maybe 4. I mean, it feels like Coach Rob Vaughn's name kept getting whispered, at least at Alabama, and he's in the World Series. I don't think he's a candidate. Wes Johnson's going. They're like, have you kicked the tires on? Well, I mean, you may as well kick them all. Anybody interested?
If there's a tire in sight.
Yeah, kick it.
I want your foot bruised.
Take a test drive. Again, Vaughn and Johnson I don't think are candidate, but I think Steve Sabins is a legitimate candidate. I think Skylar Meade, I hate to use the term fallback candidate. I think Skylar would take your job. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of people in the industry who believe in Skylar and what he can become. So I think he would take your job. And again, if you can get Scott Forbes, with all due respect to maybe any of the other ones that have been mentioned, if you can get Scott, and there is a real chance to get him, then you've got to, I would say, exhaust those avenues.
You like going to the College World Series one every 3 years?
Yeah.
That's what he's doing at
That's
UNC.
what he's doing. So, and they're back in it this time around, too. We'll come back. David Cloninger is going to join us coming up in about 15, 20 minutes with his perspective on the Gamecock search. So we'll have more detail from D.C. on that. And we'll get into this Brendan Sorsby case that may be changing college athletics. Lots to do on a Monday postgame show. Love telling you about our friends at Integrated Media. You know by now, those of you that are regular listeners, that they are the leaders when it comes to home technology, home theater, home security, home comfort, home lighting, all of those kind of things, right? Smart homes, they know what's up. Now they are applying all of that technology, all of their expertise into businesses as well. In today's world, with so much of what we do remote, in terms of different kinds of meetings, with whether it's even local, regional, national, when you have that meeting called, is everything ready to go? Well, Integrated Media can get into your business, into your conference room, and make sure that everything you need for video conferencing and all the related things, especially the Wi-Fi, is ready to go no matter where your meetings take place. And no matter how many people you've got from all over the world, 803-948-8327. Let Integrated Media upgrade your business capabilities as well. Check them out, Integrated Media. Welcome back into the postgame show on this Monday. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell in for Terry Ford. David Cloninger of the Post and Courier coming up in just a little bit. We'll get DC's take on, from some people's perspective, why this is taking so long in terms of the Gamecocks getting a baseball coach. Again, I think the search is just a thorough one. I know some think, well, I guess that means Jeremiah doesn't want Kevin Schnall. No, I don't. I would not interpret it that way. I don't know how long Kevin Schnall might want to wait.
Depends how bad you want the job.
I was going to say.
Have you ever interviewed for a job that you really wanted, and there are other candidates?
Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever been like, hey, I need to know now.
Yeah. I mean, unless unless Jeremiah is hiring like Joe Torre or something. you'll probably have to wait. And even Joe, I think he's right. Yeah, you should probably interview somebody else. I'm 80-something.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know if I can be of assistance.
Yeah.
I got Buck Showalter's number.
But anyway, we'll talk to David about that. Another massive piece of news broke lunchtime-ish today, maybe a little before. I guess it was this morning. I forget exactly what. I guess it was this morning, maybe about 10:30, from out in Lubbock. And it's the Brendan Sorsby case. Now, there were two things this weekend, including today's, I guess, one earlier this weekend. First off, the NCAA a couple of days ago denied Texas Tech's request through the official NCAA procedure to reinstate Brendan Sorsby. He was ruled ineligible. The school itself had to rule him ineligible in order to request reinstatement. So they did that last month, and then Friday that appeal was denied. But today, an injunction was granted in the Brendan Sorsby case, and Sorsby and his team are seeking to basically overturn the NCAA's ability to enforce their rules here when it comes to Brendan Sorsby, who is, and most of you have been paying attention, but if you haven't, this is the young man who was a transfer quarterback this season from Cincinnati, started his career at Indiana, and long story short, has admitted to breaking the NCAA's rules on sports gambling. He bet, and it's documented. There's no conjecture here. These are admissions. And they have proof from a lot of online sports books as well, that he, over the last 4 years, has bet $90,000, nearly 10,000 bets, most of them small. But the number one thing he did, and really it was number one times 40, on 40 separate occasions, he bet on Indiana football while he was a student at Indiana. The number one rule, and there's a bunch of them when it comes to gambling, but the number one rule is you cannot bet on your own team. And he did it not once, not twice, but 40 times, including one documented case of betting an under. Now, he says that, and for the most part, it's provable. He was not playing in these games. Most of it was when he was a red shirt, but a couple of them weren't. And he said he did it just to feel more connected to the team. Well, okay, is that how you felt when you were betting on like Romanian soccer? And I mean, he bet. Look, while he was at Cincinnati, he didn't bet on Cincinnati football while he was at Cincinnati, but he bet on Cincinnati basketball. And the second rule that you can't break is that while you are an enrolled student, you can't bet on any other sports at your school. And if you do, it's a permanent loss of eligibility. So he broke a couple of them, and you can't bet on anything. That's the third rule is while you're a student. Now that one might be a little antiquated.
Yeah, we can argue that one.
And I think we saw with some of those kids at Iowa and Iowa State a couple of years ago. Now I know the quarterback, one of them, Decker, right, bet on his own team. Can't do that, and he only did it one time, and he never played again.
That was one and done.
He never played again. One time, he never played again. But some of these guys were betting on like the NBA and stuff. Really, if it's your life. My thing about gambling isn't anything moral or ethical. It's that I like my money where it is, and betting on sports, just like going to the blackjack table or craps table, you're more than likely going to lose. Mm-hmm. Okay, sometimes you win. Most of the time you don't.
There's the caveat of doing it responsibly.
Yeah, but your life. I don't recommend it, but I'm not against it either. Not at least not in any way like somebody. And again, however you feel about it, it's how you feel about it. I'm not here to make any judgments on how people feel about gambling. I am here, though, and I know you are too, I won't speak for you, to say that this ruling today is, I was shocked. It's shocking because it basically has a judge say to everybody on God's green earth, there really aren't any consequences for breaking the number one rule in sports as an athlete. 2-game suspension. Abilene Christian and Oregon State.
That'll show him.
Now, and I'm not even sure, honestly, Texas Tech won't appeal that, but I'm not even sure if the judge has discretion to do that. He just seemingly kind of did it because they offered it up to the NCAA, and he's like, I'm going to suspend you. I'm not even sure you can really do that, sir.
I don't think so.
I don't think he can.
I don't think he's got that power.
But I don't think they're going to fight it, right? Look, this is awful. This is just awful because it will, Elijah, in my opinion, and I'm far from alone in all the things I've read, and I know you've read a bunch of follow-ups today from people. This will open the door to almost anyone saying, hey, yeah, I gambled, but I have a gambling problem. And so I really shouldn't be held responsible even if I broke a bunch of rules. And that's what this judge has done today.
That is exactly what it is. I think what makes it so shocking is just how absurd. Like, we're not arguing over the facts here. Like, the facts are the facts. It's well known, well documented. Brendan Sorsby admitted to doing it. And a judge straight up says, oh, this is going to be, irreparable harm if he does not get to play college football. No. He could still go to the NFL supplemental draft, and Pete Thamel reported a couple weeks ago that there's still, quote, a significant amount of interest in the NFL. So if that is an option, then there is no irreparable harm here. There's none, because there's other things that you can do, especially when it comes to your football career. It is not living and dying on playing at Texas Tech. The consequences of your actions might make you a walking red flag to those NFL teams, but that's not the judge's problem. That's not the NFL's problem. Like, that's your problem. The fact that this did get granted is so mind-numbing to me. I can't wrap my mind around why anybody would look at this other than they have a vested interest in Texas Tech athletics or they're helping a buddy out, that they would grant this. And I've seen people dispute, what relationship this judge has to Texas Tech University and all this type of stuff. I don't care if he was an alum or if he is 300 miles away or what. How on God's green earth are you looking at that and saying that this kid's going to be irreparably harmed by him being banned from the NCAA, not his own actions violated a rule to keep him from doing so? I can't see a connection.
I can't either. I know. I looked at I know the first judge that was assigned to this case was from Lubbock, went to Texas Tech for undergrad and law. He recused himself. This judge is a retired judge from Fort Worth who went to UT Arlington and the University of Houston Law School. I'm like, okay, great. That doesn't change the fact that this is a ridiculous ruling.
Yeah,
and
still sucks.
And we'll get into it more throughout the afternoon. The NCAA almost certainly will appeal, but as I understand it, the appellate process in Texas moves slowly, and I don't know that this. I don't know if it's going to matter. They may need to look for something quick. I don't know if they can go all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. I have no. I'm not a lawyer, so at that point, I don't know what they'll do. But they're going to want to move quickly.
Shadow docket this bad boy.
Yeah, so we'll see. In the meantime, we'll come back around to the Gamecock baseball search. What's taking so long? That's how a lot of you feel. That's what a lot of you are asking. Our good friend David Cloninger is following the story quite closely, and he will join us to give us the latest when the postgame show comes back. 25 in front of 4 o'clock on this Monday. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell hanging out today. Terry Ford away for a couple of days. Captain Dave at Master Control. From one Dave to another we go. Our good friend David Cloninger on the Gamecock beat for the Post and Courier. I guess we need to put you on the payroll at this point. You and Whittle both. You've been on so much of late. But why haven't you hired a baseball coach, David?
I mean, I keep telling them my application's in. What the holdup is? I mean, well, what's the deal here? I mean, I'll do the job for $100,000. You ain't gonna get no better deal than that.
Well, you see now, Whittle. I asked Whittle why he wasn't the baseball coach yet on Friday, and he said because they couldn't afford him. So you sound like you'll work for cheap.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. And I'll pay the difference in the two salaries so Whittle can be my consultant.
All right, there you go.
Because he runs baseball stuff around here, so I'd want him on my staff for sure.
All right, now let's I don't know. I suppose perhaps people thought, all right, we won't get to Monday and still be looking for a coach, and yet here we are. So what are we dealing with?
Your guess is as good as mine, Jay. I mean, it stands to reason. This is me just connecting dots. We know that they've talked with Kevin Schnall multiple times, and I would think if they wanted him as a coach, he'd be here as a coach, because I have heard nothing from the people I talk to around Coastal and Kevin to suggest that he doesn't want the job. So, okay, well, why haven't you got him? Well, maybe there's a bigger fish out there you think you can land. Of all the names I've heard that are those bigger fish, all of them going to be playing this week.
Yeah.
So I think that they're up against the proverbial wall. Like, listen, if you really think you can go get somebody better, okay, I can see that. But that means you're going to cost yourself Kevin Schnall, because if you're him, what would you do? I'm not going to sit around and say, hey, we're waiting on this other guy. But if not, we'll give you a call. I'd be like, so long, guys. Don't talk to me. I've already interviewed at Tennessee and South Carolina. I'll get another interview. Don't need you. Bye. So to me, it seems like they're kind of playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire here. They're at that $250,000 level. That's good to walk away with. But man, if you could just get to that 500 or that million, well, that's always the risk, isn't it? So we'll have to see how it goes. But I'm surprised that I haven't heard anything by now at 3:36 on Monday, when you kind of know who the candidates are going to be playing and who's not.
David Cloninger, how serious do you think the Scott Forbes thing is right now? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like this is serious as a heart attack, they're just waiting for North Carolina to get dropped in the College World Series.
Well, I would say of South Carolina's interest in Scott Forbes, I'd say it's probably about a 9. In the reality of Scott Forbes, no matter what happens, actually accepting the job and come here, I'd give it probably about a 0.5. That's just from what I know. I think that this is all he's just playing it to get UNC to give him what he wants, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I really do not think that Scott Forbes, if it ever came, hey, make a decision, that he would actually leave UNC for another job. The guy's invested in UNC. So, but I'm not in the athletic director's office, so maybe he's hearing something different. But the fact is, he's going to be playing this week, and others aren't that are interested in the job. So if you're going to continue to wait on him, you better be real sure he's eventually going to say yes.
I know Dan Fitzgerald's name, the head coach at Kansas, kind of fell off and out of the discussion, but he's done now. And look, they got beat pretty badly by Oklahoma today, so that doesn't leave a great taste in a lot of people's mouths. But any indications, David, that Coach Fitzgerald kind of re-enters this conversation now that his season's done?
Honestly, Jay, I really haven't heard Fitzgerald's name in about a week to 10 days, somewhere in that range, and I don't expect that to change. I think that there's been a commitment on Kansas's end to give him what he needs out there, what he wants out there. So if it weren't for that, maybe, but I don't think that it's going to pop up now, unless, of course, Dan were to say, something, I think I've done all I can. Let me give South Carolina a call. If he calls USC, I'm sure they'll listen, but I don't anticipate that happening.
Going from one Big 12 coach to another, what Steve Sabins has done at West Virginia is pretty remarkable. Historic for that program. And I think the one thing in college baseball this weekend, or the last 2 weekends, has been like what that atmosphere is like in Morgantown. Now, clearly, I would say an SEC job with more history and more resources and more proof of financial commitment to the program is something that would be awfully appealing. But would this be one of those instances with Steve Saban's where it actually ends up becoming a decision, or can USC just outbid them to the point where it would be kind of foolish for him to not take it?
Well, I've heard all along, Elijah, that he was going to be the second candidate if Kevin Schnall said no, and I've heard nothing to come off that. However, circumstances have changed. He's going to be playing this weekend, and if it comes down to like saying, okay, which of these guys is going to lose first out in Omaha so I can call them, I don't know if that's the best way to play it. Also, if you are Steve Sabans and you've been there for a while, only head coach for 2 years, but you've taken this program where it's never gone, you've seen the emotion that they have and getting around and singing, Take Me Home, Country Roads after the games, I think it'd be really tough for him to leave. That said, USC can offer a lot more than West Virginia, and even if it comes to we've got some big money boosters coming in and they can raise my salary. I'm like, yeah, but you're still not going to be able to play a home game until mid-April or mid-March because your field snowed under. Ain't going to have a problem here. So it obviously didn't affect him last year, and I think what makes him a natural for South Carolina at this point, the guy beat Clemson in a regional on its home field. How could you not want him? But it's got to be a two-way door, I tell people this all the time in coaching searches. They got to want to come here too. No indication that Steve Saban does or does not want to come to South Carolina because I know he's on the list. But it just gets back into the Forbes, Skylar Meade situation. How long are you going to wait? Because if you do wait, you're probably going to cost yourself a coach that will take the job right now.
Well, you just mentioned Skylar Meade. That's the last one we'll talk about. Obviously very familiar to Gamecock fans as a pitching coach under Mark Kingston. He's been doing a nice job at Troy. I know you put out in your latest piece that even though he's only been to the tournament twice, he was on that last 4-out line a couple of different times. It's a great league, the Sun Belt. We know what Coastal does. We know what Southern Miss does. Troy is now emerging as one of those kind of schools. If it came to Skylar Meade for a variety of reasons, David, is he saying yes?
I would think so. I wouldn't mind that at all. Skylar's a great guy and a great coach, and you just see what he's done at Troy. But obviously Troy's very hamstrung in what they can give, not a coach just for salary, but in terms of resources, so that he can keep winning and that kind of thing. There's a limit, a very severe limit to that well, and I'm sure that he would look at it and say, man, I've done all I can. With Troy, I took Troy to the College World Series, and now I need to go and see if I can do this on the biggest level there is, which is SEC baseball. So the only thing I would worry about, Jay, when it becomes known, and it pretty much already is, you've targeted Kevin Schnall, Scott Forbes, Steve Sabans, and none of them said yes. Okay, well, you got Skylar Meade. I think that's cool. That's fine. Great coach. But there'll be a lot of fans be out there like, what?
Yeah.
Especially considering how some other recent coaching searches have gone. It'll be like how come you never have a viable plan B? I mean, if Skylar Meade had been targeted from the beginning, sure. But even in my initial hot board, I'm like, he's a guy you probably kick the tires on, but now you probably don't go to him right now. But he's kind of played himself into consideration.
All right, got about a minute for you. This goes how much longer? I mean, we're looking at least the opening weekend of the World Series?
Oh, man. Well, I think if it lasts much past Wednesday, I think that you'll know. It's like, okay, well, they're waiting. And that'll pretty much, in my view, just my view, that would pretty much say to me, okay, Schnall's out.
Yeah.
Because how much do you got to wait before you're hamstringing yourself and your program for next year? The guy was at work today, working on his roster reconstruction for next year, discussing transfer portal plans, that kind of thing. So we'll see how long it goes. But, you always have to say, unless he's told you a time that you need to come to him, he might just wake up and say, you know what, the heck with this. I'm done waiting, and I know I'm going to get other interviews in the future. So, hey, Coastal all the way.
Last thing real quick, you know who the Braves' newest good luck charm is, right? He's sitting right next to me. He went this weekend, and they swept Elijah Campbell.
Really?
Yeah.
Want to know with
I'm
me in the
happy
ballpark.
to hear that, man. But you just went over there to see if Livy was in the stands, didn't you?
What's really funny is the group of guys I was with ran into her in the concourse.
Oh, I'm sure.
Regret to inform you I was not with them for that beer run. I want to say that was in between the 5th and 6th inning. I was not with them, but I did receive the pictures of who they met in the concourse. So can confirm she was there.
Wow.
Well, Atlanta's a strong town.
Good stuff as always, sir. We'll holler at you soon enough, I know.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
David Cloninger, DCPNC on Twitter, postandcourier.com. This is the postgame show. Eleven minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this Monday afternoon. Jay and Elijah with you. Thanks to David Cloninger for joining us. And again, DCPNC on Twitter, postandcourier.com. Terry is away for a few days. And again, God bless him as a father. He is moving his daughter back from the University of Colorado back to the East Coast.
By U-Haul.
By U-Haul.
Buddy. I hope he has some podcasts to listen to.
Yeah, like I said, I think, in a U-Haul, 8-track, maybe a cassette player if he's got a newer version of a U-Haul.
Jen Jensen hit us up on our personal text line. Says, can you imagine Terry having a sing-along in the car?
His daughter can sing, so I wouldn't.
She'd be the one doing the singing. But
in fact, I wouldn't want that to happen because I wouldn't want her abilities to be affected negatively by his inability to sing.
Trying to harmonize with Terry Ford could be a little difficult.
And then she'll be trying to keep up or make him sound good, and then you realize, oh my God, she just ruined her voice.
Or she is trying to teach him, and it's just not clicking to the point where we break into a Ladybird situation where she gets so frustrated, she's like, I will get out of this moving vehicle.
Yeah, which that I could see that for a variety of reasons to get out of the vehicle.
And that's 3 hours in.
Yeah. That
means you still got 22 left.
Yeah, you hadn't even gotten to Nebraska yet.
Long road ahead by foot. Long road ahead by car.
Ugh.
By U-Haul.
Yeah.
Longer by foot.
He sent me or showed me something of her singing the other day. I was like, whoa.
Balling.
Yeah. She's going to be a pro, man. For real. She can sing. So it is vault time, even though Terry's not here. I got one for you. On this date in 1955, Elijah Campbell. Dave, you remember this. The Brooklyn Dodgers optioned pitcher Tom Lasorda to the minors to make room on the roster for an up-and-coming kid named Sandy Koufax.
Bad move by the Dodgers. What are you doing? What are you doing?
How about that? I never knew that.
That's who had to be sent down, so Sandy Koufax.
Tommy's on the big club. Not cutting it, kid. We love you. Not cutting it. We got a kid named Koufax, though. We like him. He's a lefty. Think he has some promise.
Come back in a few years, and
we'll see what happens.
Maybe we can get you a job.
Good news is they're both in the Hall of Fame.
Good news is Tommy got a job again.
He did.
With the Dodgers.
He did. And on this date as well, 1961, the Milwaukee Braves set a record with 4 consecutive home runs hit by Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron, Joe Adcock, and Frank Thomas. Not that Frank Thomas. The original Frank Thomas.
What was going to say?
Not the Big Hurt.
I was going to say the stuff he sells, the supplements he sells on TV must have really be working if he's playing that long in the major leagues.
She'll like it too. It actually just creeps me out.
It's a little too creepy.
It is. All right, whoa.
We can sell this without it getting too weird.
Let's have that after 11 o'clock at night, all right, Frank?
You'll like it too.
Again, thanks to David for joining us and talking about what's going on with the baseball search. I don't look again. Every fan is going to maybe feel differently about this in terms of the approach, their level of patience, Elijah. But it would still seem that yes, candidates are coaching in Omaha, and how appealing is that? If in your mind, relative to not having one of them, and they can't tell you yes yet. Now you can get a lot of things done. But they can't tell you yes, and they can't come visit you in person.
Mm-hmm.
So look, Skylar Meade has a built-in. He knows all about Columbia. He knows all about the ballpark.
He doesn't need the tour.
He knows all about the SEC. So maybe he doesn't need it. But I also feel like if there are 4 people on the list, and it feels like what we have, he's 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So as David said, he'd have to say no, okay. And would that make people, again, it might be in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, we certainly decided to ask that on our poll question at 107.5 The Game. Just, do you consider him to be a viable candidate for this job? 51.9% say yes, 37% say no, 11.1% are indifferent on it right now.
Interesting.
I would be cool with it. I think if your last option, if your break in case of emergency is a guy who took Troy to the College World Series and en route to doing so, didn't just beat Florida in the regional, took a sledgehammer to Florida, at Florida in the regional, I would take it. He also fits a lot of my boxes of someone who could be a really good salesman, right? He could sell the program. He can bring a lot of excitement. I listened to the 6 minutes that he kind of rambled a little bit when trying to lobby for Troy to get in as an at-large, and he convinced me that they should be in the College World Series already.
Right.
I was like, oh, you know what? You're making a really good case here, sir. You sold me. I think that gift of gab will do him really well with this type of job, too, and that's at least a starting point to get people back to the ballpark.
I agree. We'll see. So, no movement today. We'll keep you updated. Come back on the other side. More on the Brendan Sorsby injunction being granted and what it could mean for college athletics. Newsflash, not good. 4 o'clock on a Monday. Welcome back in. It's the postgame show alongside Elijah Campbell in for Terry Ford. I'm Jay Phillips. And the incomparable Jen Jensen is now at Master Control here in the Herndon Chevy Studios. It's like old home week for me and Elijah, and now you guys get to see each other again for the second time.
What a thrill for Elijah.
You know, I mean, this is great. I'm just along for the ride at this point. Do y'all want to do your show, and I'll just, hang out? I can play the role of Preston Thorne. I'm almost his size, but I didn't play Southeastern Conference football.
Really?
No,
I'm a little shocked by that.
no. I played small high school baseball. That was about it.
Close enough.
That's close.
Same experience.
Yeah.
You can be Preston.
Sure. I'm from South Carolina.
See, there you go.
See?
There you go.
I mean, that counts.
You basically are Preston.
That's right.
I almost start calling you Preston now.
I've
just
known
on
Preston.
habit.
I've known Preston a long time.
He has a daughter. You have daughters.
Yes, we talk about that. Talk about that. And I tell him to cherish every minute because soon enough it'll be like my family, and the youngest one will be graduating high school.
Yeah.
Which just happened to me. But I didn't cry.
No.
No, I'm not emotional.
Not publicly. Or maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit.
Just a little
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Need to borrow our rose-colored glasses. Maybe that would help you see things a little bit. Or the garnet-colored.
Well, it's funny.
Right.
I didn't. With the first time I saw these when I came back, right? Because as y'all know, I was gone for a while, and I was like, my first thing was, have these been sitting here since Valentine's Day? Because I came back like the first week of May, and Terry said, no, that's their garnet-colored glasses. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. I just figured, knowing us as a group of not just at local employees, but really, there's a stereotype nationally, maybe even internationally. It would have made perfect sense that these had been here for some kind of gag on Valentine's Day and just
Very true.
remained. Like, for instance, right under that little, there's a little control box right here behind one of our computers, and there's a dollar bill that's just been sitting there for, 2 years?
Pretty ripped up, though, I think.
It's $1, but I mean, it should be back in circulation somewhere.
It probably should.
There's a snack machine downstairs.
Yeah.
So maybe we could test our luck and see if it works.
Sure.
I can maybe get you like a Twix bar.
Yeah. Or Dave can go get a honey bun.
Dave, he could go get a honey bun.
Yeah. I'm told Dave doesn't eat honey buns as much anymore.
Yeah. No. He just kind of looked like, I don't do that. He was just telling me that it's absolutely pouring down rain. So if you listened to the morning show this morning and you heard the forecast, there was no mention of rain because the clown who did the forecast in the morning, didn't have any clue that there was going to be any rain. She's not a meteorologist. That's painful. Do you have windows down or something, Elijah?
No, I've got a softball game at 6:30.
Oh, don't worry. It'll be done in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
It'll just be a little slippery.
But how does the field look?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What am I going to track in my car?
Is it one of those muddy clay fields?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how's that hamstring? How
Still
will it
there.
be after tonight?
I mean, I'll definitely be stretching.
It's still there.
I don't just have one. When I tore my hamstring last summer, I was given by my doctor a couple of these like compression leg sleeves, and they're supposed to be just for, the right one. Well, a couple of softball seasons later, you play a couple seasons, in a calendar year, I end up tweaking the other one. Didn't tear it, but now I've got to the point where I just wear two for both legs.
There you go.
There you go.
Got 'em on right now,
Smart.
just in case. My
let me
hamstrings
just-
are made of rubber. These things are awful.
If I were you, I would keep playing, but I would just not run.
Skip.
I'll bring a pogo stick and I'll pogo stick around the bases.
You want to borrow my walker from when I had my hip surgery? That'd be fun.
That'd be a funny
This is
visual.
the second
At
time
least
I
that. Get
get
on
to
the front.
reference this, but I remember, Jen, you might remember this. Billy Crystal had a bit about baseball and like when they would have Old Timers Day. And when he's on stage, it's funny, but he's like, he's the Comet, ladies and gentlemen, the Comet. And but he's Old Timers Day. And so
He was the Comet.
he's shuffling out,
Yeah.
and he's tipping his cap, and he's like, he's the fastest man. He's still, it takes like 20 minutes to get out to the field. The Comet, ladies and gentlemen.
So fun.
Still got it.
That's you. That'll be the Comet.
The Comet with rubber hamstrings.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's pouring.
Well, that's good. That's all right. We can't open. Well, can we just let me see real quick? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No, it's coming down. It's coming down.
I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
I'm sorry. Well, call your league commissioner and see what happens.
Let's build a dome.
I'm all
Right
for that. I'm all for that. Again, we talked, if you're just tuning in, we talked with David Cloninger in the last half hour about the Gamecock baseball search. No news is no news. It's not good news. It's not bad news. It's indifferent news. There's no news. That's it. To some of you, that means the Gamecocks don't want Kevin Schnall. I don't interpret it that way. How much does Kevin Schnall want the job? How much does Carolina want Kevin Schnall? I think those are things that are independent of the other candidates. But, Elijah, and I know we've mentioned it before, but we'll say again, if you can't say this without making it sound like it's a knock on Kevin Schnall.
Mm-hmm.
But unless you were 100% sure on both sides, then you have to go do this. And even if you're 100% sure, can you make a decision like this without having done as much vetting and interviewing and talking and discussing with other candidates as possible, especially when they have interest in you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a belief with Scott Forbes, the head coach at North Carolina, that what he may be doing in terms of showing any levels of interest is more of a leverage play. Well, perhaps there's some of that involved. I'm not naive. But I don't know that you're just, watch this. I'm gonna call Jeremiah Donati and Yankees chain for a couple weeks just so I can get, a $500,000 raise and get another $1 million for the NIL budget. That might not go over too well in the inner circles.
You want to know my theory is about why Scott Forbes' name came up out of nowhere? What's the University of North Carolina investing heavily in right now that they haven't historically invested this level of money in?
Football.
How much money is Bill Belichick making?
$10 million.
It's a lot.
It is.
Who's the highest paid general manager in college football?
What's the guy's name from the Patriots?
Michael Lombardi.
Lombardi.
Yes.
What's Jordan's allowance?
A lot. A lot. Maybe their entire NIL budget at this point. That's a lot of money. What's the one thing most ADs in the country are complaining about? This is unsustainable. We can't do this. We don't have all this type of money. I'll take them at their word for it. I'll take that at face value. So if we are in a financial crisis in college athletics, in one school who's already historically spent a ton of money on basketball and will continue to do so, Michael Malone ain't going to Chapel Hill for free, brother. If we take them at face value, knowing what they spend in football, what they spend in basketball, do you think Scott Forbes might have gotten what the budget's going to look like for baseball next year and said, I don't know if I can do this again? Or is he looking at the NIL allowance or what they're going to be able to get in rev share and say, I don't know if I can do this here? And if he feels that way, why wouldn't you kick the tires on a school that is top 10 in operational budget in the sport of baseball and has proven that they're going to do whatever it takes to make the baseball program successful?
And
that would be enticing.
And the fan base will definitely gravitate.
Yeah.
So that's a theory. That is my operating Scott Forbes theory.
And I know, like, our buddy Jack Veltri has been doing his pieces at Gamecock Central on the cases for and against. Mm-hmm. And with a couple of them, including Scott Forbes, when it came to the case against, it was basically, there really isn't one. If this guy's interested in you, you gotta full. And I'm paraphrasing what Jack said, but you got to go through that process. If this is a guy that is showing genuine interest, you got to see what that really is. And Jeremiah is not going to be conned by somebody that, I mean, in other words, he'd know if it was a leverage play or not. And you've talked to an agent like, hey, what's your boy doing here? I don't have time for this BS. Come on.
Waste my time.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? Is he genuinely interested? I'll talk to him because he's a hell of a coach. But otherwise, don't waste my time, all right?
Right.
Don't waste my time. And if you're wasting my time, I'm going to find that out, and then it's going,
And we're going to fight.
Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that. So, again, Dan Fitzgerald, by the way, the entire Oklahoma won today to make the Omaha field set, is what I was trying to say. So everybody is in now. Georgia, North Carolina, Mississippi, West Virginia, Troy, Texas, Oklahoma, and Alabama. So that is your field of 8. We do have matchups set. We'll get into that coming up a little bit later on. But it does feel like with Kevin Schnall at home, and maybe a list of 4, maybe 5 if you think that Josh Holliday of Oklahoma State is a viable candidate. Doesn't feel like he's super high on the list, but his name has at least been floated enough to stay out there. That Steve Sabins of West Virginia, Skylar Meade of Troy, and once again, the aforementioned Scott Forbes of North Carolina are all coaching in the College World Series. And as I mentioned at the top of the show to you, sir, It's ironic that you're almost pulling for somebody to lose so that you could at least make the hire, even if the hire becomes Kevin Schnall.
Right.
And yet at the same time, what's the goal of what everybody here wants? It's to get not only to get to Omaha, but to win it again. But you got to get there first. And you might have 3 of your candidates that are coaching in Omaha. And are you prepared to wait for them to finish? Look, if one of them, as I joked too, if 3 of them are there and one of them wins, 2 of them don't. So just hire one of those 2.
What's so funny about this, Jay, too, is like, let's play the time machine game, all right? Let's say it is mid-March again. Paul Maneri had just been fired as the University of South Carolina's head baseball coach, and I just magically appear in your house. Outside of the obvious question of, hey, what are you doing in my house? I can say, hey, I'm from the future. I'll answer all these questions for you later, but I can only give you one tidbit of information. The College World Series will be made up of almost half the field of the College World Series will be made up of legitimate South Carolina coaching candidates. And then I disappear. And suspending the disbelief of me being able to do that, do you think to yourself, oh, dude, that rules? Yeah. Are you telling me almost half the field in the College World Series are guys that are legitimate candidates to be the next head baseball coach at the University of South Carolina? I think you'd sign up for that. Don't want to speak for you, but I think you would sign up for it.
Absolutely would. 100%. And that's what makes this so intriguing and at the same time a little maddening. I think everybody, whether it's those of us who cover this and discuss it every day, to those of you who listen to us or absorb your information and consume your information from other sources as well, everybody wants it to be. Jeremiah wants it to be. Everybody wants it to be over. But it's not. And the reason it's not is because you have men that are very successful this season and are in the promised land, if you will, that everybody wants to be. So David Cloninger mentioned to us, Elijah, I think he's right. If this goes until Wednesday, so if we're 48 hours from now, without an announcement, without even so much as the announcement of a board meeting, and just to remind everybody, because Carolina's a public school, the board has to approve these contracts. And the board has to give a full 24-hour notice before a meeting takes place. So if a meeting is going to take place Thursday at noon, by Wednesday at noon, there has to be a public announcement that the Board of Trustees will be meeting.
Yeah, the word of the meeting won't die at the Outlook invite or the Microsoft Teams invite, right?
Right.
You put that on the calendar, now everybody's got to know about it.
Yeah. So I don't know if that means it won't be Kevin Schnall. But I see David's point. It's not that I agree or disagree. I just feel like you've done all of the vetting and interviewing you're going to do with Kevin. Now, maybe you want to bring Kevin to Columbia. And from what David was told today, Kevin Schnall, was on campus in Conway doing his job as Coastal's baseball coach. So I don't know if he's come, when they met in person last week, did they do that here? Did they do that in Conway? Did they do that in, some...
The Buc-ee's in Florence?
Yeah, maybe. Or why not? Get some beaver nuggets and some jerky.
Jen didn't see them. So if Jen didn't report it, then I can't believe, I can't confirm or deny
Jen,
if it happened
you
or
go
not.
to Darlington a lot. Maybe they were in a car just driving around the track at, 90 miles an hour. So who knows?
Yeah, maybe they went to one of those track days where, benefits charity and you can, take a couple laps and do some good.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But I don't know if Kevin Schnall has come to Columbia yet and seen the facilities and done that part of the interviewing process. I have no idea.
Or if the process is schnalled out. I don't know.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Oh, schnucks.
All right. So there's our update on that. Again, if anything pops, we'll get it for you. We will come back on the other side, though. As we said earlier today out in Texas, a massive ruling that will, we think, have pretty big ramifications around the college athletics world unless there's a successful appeal, which seems like a distant shot at this point. But we'll get into why this matters when the postgame show comes back. Love telling you about our good friends at AAA Heating and Air. Roy and Dana Finley and the crew are ready to make sure that your family is nice and comfortable through these hot summer months in the Midlands of South Carolina. When's the last time you had your system inspected? Even if it's been recently enough, hey, if it's an older system, might need to get it looked at again. Or if you get that power bill every month and you know that your HVAC system is one of the reasons why that thing's a little too high, might be time for a brand new system that is a lot more energy efficient. And AAA Heating and Air ready to help you out with that, too. $1,500 system buyback rebate. So right there, bang, you're saving money right off the top. A 15-year parts and labor guarantee. That means they stand behind every single bit of what they do for you. And they can guarantee to get you financed to make it that much more affordable so you and your family are nice and comfortable. Do what I've done. Do what many of your friends and neighbors have done. Work with AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500. Tell them we sent you to AAA Heating and Air. Nineteen minutes after 4 o'clock. Jay and Elijah with you. Back to the old days. Again, it's like an old home week or old home hours.
Like the Seinfeld reunion.
For you, for me. Jen is here to make you feel good, to make sure that you know what's going on.
Yeah, it's part of the contract. Said if I fill it in the afternoons,
That's right.
Jen Jensen's coming
She
with
has
me.
to come with you.
I'm his keeper.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, we all, I mean, that's good. That's good.
Because you know the amount of trouble I'd get into around here if I'm not supervised.
Yeah. I was that way for a while. I mean, I was very concerned when Michael Haney left, but then they made sure to pair me with Tommy, and I never got in trouble because I didn't want to disappoint Tommy.
No, that was hard.
Yeah.
He couldn't get in trouble because he had too many papers all around to
That's right.
miss him.
So it's all good. I was thinking we were thinking about him the other day when Brad was in here talking Hall of Fame, and I was like, yeah, I remember those. Tommy would agonize over the Hall of Fame. This guy's good. I can't get them all in. I mean, like, don't worry about it, Tommy. And he's like, no, I got to. It was great. So yeah, we do.
Supposed to take that seriously.
Absolutely.
How would Tommy be right now without a baseball coach?
He'd be agonizing over who the coach should be.
He'd be a little.
Right.
He'd be a little anxious. I'll just do it. Just go. You do it, Tommy. We got before we get to the Sorsby situation. Wooly is on hold on the heating and the AAA heating and air text line or phone lines, whatever they call them these days. Wooly, what's up, man?
Hey, man. So out here between Lexington and Gilbert, it is not raining.
Oh.
And it's a beautiful day.
All right.
I'm envious.
Well, tell Elijah's softball game to be moved over there.
And I'd like to say that I applaud the patience of the coaching search because, boy, what a get that would be to get Forbes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Real quick aside, Jay,
Yes,
because
sir.
I know you enjoy live music.
Yes.
I went and saw the Crows in Augusta on Thursday night. Man,
Ooh.
they played a Otis Redding cover, a Velvet Underground cover.
Oh.
They played. They ended the show with the 1964 cover of the Stones. It's all over now.
Wow.
And yeah,
Which the Grateful Dead used to do an amazing job with as well. So I know that one. Yeah.
And they played a tune they hadn't played in 34 years since 1992, The Hollow Day.
Wow.
It was so sweet.
Where'd you see him? You said Augusta, but what venue?
Oh, at Bell's.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, which is funny because they've been playing amphitheaters. They played amphitheaters before, and they played Charlotte next.
Right.
And one of the backup singer girls was from Augusta. When they introduced her, they blew the roof off the joint. Baby.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, we appreciate the
All
phone
right,
call, bud.
brother.
Yeah. All right. And congrats on the
glad
good
you're
weather. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that very much. Yeah, Elijah has a softball game at 6, and we're trying to find out if it's been postponed / canceled.
Yeah, unfortunately, the field is not far from here.
Okay.
Over at TS Martin.
Oh, so you're in downtown. So
Yeah.
you're
So I have a feeling if the heavens opened up here, unless we got one of those Missouri football game rains where it just
Still
rained over
weird.
Willie B,
Yeah.
then I have a feeling it's going to be a little
like-
swampy over there.
Yeah,
Kind of like at the Indy 500 where it's raining in turn 4, but, turns 1 and 2, no problem.
Weird. Also, that's how big that track is.
Exactly.
What doesn't it have like a par 3 golf course in the middle or something?
It's actually, there's 3 holes of the full 18 holes.
Okay.
My son and I went and played that
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Wooly makes a good point. And like I say, I don't know how people feel with their own levels of patience when it comes to the Gamecock baseball search. I think Jeremiah's doing the right thing. Look, I'm with David on the Scott Forbes situation. And based on some of my own research and calls around the area about that, it certainly feels like a very long shot. But if there's a genuine possibility, which, again, I believe there is, because I just don't think you're going to waste somebody's time just for a leverage play.
Especially since you already signed an extension.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, you kind of, well, anyway, and again, there was some conflicting information, I guess, over the weekend about exactly how much Scott Forbes makes. I know that by getting to Omaha, his total, at least based on what I read, his bonus structure alone was $225,000 for like making the tournament, hosting a super, winning a super, getting to Omaha. When all of those things added up, it was $225,000. So that's just bonus money.
You could buy a lot of honey buns with that.
Yeah, you can. And so again, I don't know what his new terms are. That's why there's also conflicting information about whether or not he signed that extension.
There, semantics. He either agreed to it or he signed it.
It almost feels more like an agreed to, because as a public school, you got to put those things out. within a certain amount of time. And maybe they haven't hit that number yet in North Carolina. I don't know. But I haven't seen what the new deal is. But that new deal should put Scott Forbes in the top 10 in coaching salaries, in my opinion, give or take, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's that good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
so
again, I think we take going to Omaha one every 3 years.
Well, you come to South Carolina. Look, based on, and even if it's, I looked at the Baseball America top 15 list, and I don't have it pulled up in front of me right this second, but Paul Maneri was like number 12. This was going into the season when they put it out.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, whoever comes to South Carolina, that's the new floor.
Oh, for sure.
What you were paying Paul.
For sure.
So, you come here, you're guaranteed to be a top 15 highest paid coach, and maybe higher.
Cool.
And we've asked, and I'm sure you have too with some of the guests that y'all have had, and we have some crossover. But I've asked almost everybody that covers this program on a daily basis, is South Carolina prepared to be a school that pays its head baseball coach $2 million? Every one of them, yes. Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't mean that you will. It means you're prepared for it, if that's what it takes. So,
I do get the feeling that they're going to do whatever it takes to be able to turn this thing around.
Yeah, and if you said to Scott Forbes, here's $2 million for you. Last year we paid our staff, just the staff members, 2.5. So we'll take that other, here's your 2, and we'll pay. I mean, because Monty and Terry Rooney alone made about $1 million combined. And we believe that John Hendry made in the 2 to 250 range. So you're, again, now, there, give or take, there's a floor, right, of $1.2 million, $1.3 million for your staff.
A lot of money.
It is, but you're ready to do it. Mm-hmm. And as you mentioned, top 10 budget already. And I think the budget was in the, 8 to 9 million range. Mm-hmm. Most schools, it seems like a lot of schools now in the SEC are ready to go to 10. Tennessee was the highest in the country last year at 13. You're going to be prepared to do that.
And I think because baseball is a non-revenue generating sport,
right?
I think some of those teams that are above South Carolina might not increase that as much. Right. They could. I'm just playing what the ADs are telling us. And what's coming out of spring meetings and all of this type of stuff is that we need rules because we can't stop ourselves from spending money. There's going to be a ripple effect in the sport of baseball where I think that will reach its limit. I think we're about to get there with basketball. It's going to do that with baseball right now. And if a couple other teams decide to cut back, then you have an edge, more so than what you already have.
And that's why South Carolina has got to get this thing right, Elijah, because you got a ballpark over there. I'm not joking when I say this, even if it sounds like I'm being a smart aleck, which is very often for me. That place doesn't hold almost 10,000 people to not hold 10,000 people.
Correct.
But you need to start doing that again, like you used to. Mm-hmm. Because while you might not chances are pretty good that you won't operate in the black with the baseball program individually.
Correct.
But you need to start finding a way to maximize the revenues you can make over there.
It'll take more than what you've been getting.
Yeah, because this past couple of seasons, industry term,
vibes bad.
Yeah, a couple of those games, man.
It's hard to watch.
Yeah.
It was really hard to see.
Yeah. Especially when you got, like, Florida coming to town. And, yeah, not good.
Could do better.
Yeah, not good. Not good. All right. Wooly, thanks for the phone call. And we'll be on Elijah's softball watch. And then we will, I promise you, on the other side, get into the Brendan Sorsby case because it's going to change college athletics. Unless something else happens from a judge or judges in the coming days and weeks. You're listening to the Postgame Show. Our friends at the British Bulldog Pub are ramping up for the big tournament that begins on Thursday. It runs for, what, we got like 5 or 6 weeks worth of world-class soccer. Looking forward to that. You need to head out to the Bulldog, whether it's to watch your favorite nation that's involved or just your favorite player, or you're just curious about what is this whole thing about. Well, go out there and see them. But then grab yourself a nice pint or two or more. Make sure you're doing it responsibly, right? Take advantage of the chip shop menu. Listen, these are their hand-cut fries, or as they call them, chips, right? You can get loaded London chips with spicy cheddar, bacon, fresh scallions, maybe the buffalo chicken. You want to go a little more authentic from the other side of the pond, the chicken curry chips, absolutely fantastic. Bower Parkway in Harbison, so much great food, so much great fun, so much great beer. Go see our friends at the British Bulldog Pub.
I-77 northbound between exits 24 and 27 that is currently closed due to an accident. So do plan to map out a different route. Again, that's I-77 northbound between exits 24 and 27. And then we do have heavy traffic, I-26 eastbound between basically the Calhoun-Lexington County line, north and like the south part of that extension. So some heavy traffic on I-26 eastbound, kind of standard for this time of day. And as far as forecast goes, well, apparently in the Lexington area, it's not too bad, but pouring down rain in downtown Columbia. Clouds the rest of the day, 92 for the high. We're rounding out overnight low of 72.
Welcome back in. Postgame show rolling on here on what has turned into, at least in downtown Columbia, a little rainy Monday afternoon. Is it still raining? You want to look and see real quick? Not as bad, but yes, it is still raining.
Not monsooning like it was.
It was for a few minutes there. It was coming down
20 minutes ago.
Have you gotten an email alert from your softball league?
I have not. I did get a text that as of now still plan to play.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So far,
Hey,
so
you
good.
know, you can. I think you'll be all right.
Plan to wash your shoes tonight?
Yeah, these shoes aren't coming into the house with me.
I can tell you've played softball in those because they got the white bottoms have a little clay-ish hue.
Oh yeah, these are the designated softball shoes.
Yeah,
rubber's kind of tearing up there at the little
yeah,
bit.
they don't come that color.
And look at that. You already started your stretching by what you just showed us.
Right there. And guess what? Nothing ripped.
And nothing ripped. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
You are progressing.
All right, so big news out of Texas today. Judge Ken Curry ruled in favor of Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby. He granted him a temporary injunction against the NCAA. It will allow, for now at least, Sorsby to play for Texas Tech this season, even after he has been declared ineligible and had the appeal through the NCAA rules, at least, denied by the NCAA. So he was ruled upon twice by the NCAA, but a judge in Texas says, Judge Curry ruled that Sorsby's attorneys demonstrated that he will suffer, quote, probable, imminent, and irreparable injury if he is not allowed to play for the Red Raiders in 2026. Now, if you're, just to catch all of you up, if you don't know, and most of you have heard this name by now, but Brendan Sorsby was ruled ineligible after it found out earlier in the spring that he had wagered nearly $90,000 on pro and college sports over the 4 years that he's been in college, including 40 separate bets on his own team, Indiana, when he played for the Hoosiers. The NCAA, as I said, denied Texas Tech's appeal for reinstatement. So in terms of their eligibility rules, he was deemed permanently ineligible once they found this out. Max Olson, who covers the Big 12 for ESPN, writes that Judge Curry instead found in favor of Sorsby in another unprecedented decision against the NCAA as the organization continues to fight a barrage of legal challenges, heightening concerns among officials and coaches that rulings from local judges continue to undermine the NCAA's ability to enforce its own rules. Now, the NCAA, they haven't officially said so. They have put out a statement today saying that they were greatly disappointed in this ruling, but they have not yet announced, Elijah, if they're going to appeal. Now, I read today from it was on Twitter, but it was a long post from an attorney in Texas responding, I think, to Stuart Mandel of The Athletic, that the appellate process in Texas takes a while. Apparently, a ruling like this is subject to immediate appeal. So really, you don't even have to, in effect, file for it. It is automatic through the laws of Texas, but it's likely not to be heard for about 6 months in the normal appellate process. 6 to 9 months, they said. Well, that's obviously going to be after the football season.
Well, unless Texas Tech goes to the college football playoff and they're deep in the playoff. Because wouldn't that be funny?
Imagine
that you got away with it. You just get away with it. You get to go to the college football playoff. You're in the college football playoff, let's just say the semifinals. Bam, ruling comes in. NCAA wins the appeal. Sorry. Your Pete Rose-esque quarterback is no longer allowed to play for you. Good luck.
I don't know. Look, again, I'm not a lawyer, so whether this is something that can be done solely within the state of Texas or whether the NCAA can engage the federal courts in anything like this, I don't know. I even saw somebody suggest they should take it immediately to the U.S. Supreme Court for some type of immediate relief. I don't know how all that works. And sometimes they'll take it and sometimes they won't. I can see why, because you got to convince a judge, an appellate judge at this point, whether it's whomever, that the judge that ruled in this case, Judge Ken Curry, seemingly just put aside the whole notion of punishment for breaking the cardinal rule of sports, which is you can't bet on your own team. And again, in one of the 40 bets, you could only in one of the 40 bets, I was going to say, could you really show that Sorsby might have done something to go against his team because he bet an under on something, meaning, I don't think they're going to do that. Well, And let's face it, when he played for Indiana, it was pre-coach Signetti, and they weren't very good.
No.
But nevertheless, because remember he said, hey, I wasn't playing, and I just wanted to feel closer to the team. Well, I'm not sure anybody really bought that argument from him anyway.
I wouldn't buy it.
His attorney, Sorsby's lead attorney, is Jeffrey Kessler. He said today to ESPN's Pete Thamel, quote, "It is a just result. Brendan gets to devote himself to his team and the education of athletes on the dangers of gambling addiction. He will continue his treatment, miss 2 games, and there is no injury to the competitive integrity of the NCAA. It is what we proposed and what the NCAA should have accepted had it been true to its promise to prioritize the welfare of athletes." End quote from Jeffrey Kessler. The one thing that I say I'd like to see him do is devote himself to his team and the education of athletes on the dangers of gambling. Beyond that, it is not just. And he does not deserve to play. So he can be with his teammates, but he can't play. If they want to keep him around, keep him in school, keep him in school, sure. And if he wants to continue to get help and have it be on Texas Tech's dime or whomever's dime, sure.
He could still be supported, which was Jeffrey Kessler's entire argument here that they laid out weeks ago that, hey, instead of supporting the student athlete, you're punishing him. Well, no, you can still support somebody and punish them at the same time. Like, those aren't mutually exclusive sort of things there.
Right.
He could still be supported by staying at the school, staying with the team, right? But this doesn't mean you have to play. This doesn't mean you're hurting him by not letting him on the football field. If you want to say, yeah, we understand the issue that you're going through, and you know the support of your teammates, which you just met, a month ago, is probably going to help you out a lot. So we'll let you be on, the staff. You can hang out in shorts and a t-shirt, but you can't be on the football field. This is like saying, oh, yeah, we'll give you a little slap on the wrist, but we'll reward you for it. Oh, you went to rehab for your gambling addiction? Oh, we'll reward you by letting you still play, even though you violated the one rule you cannot violate when it comes to gambling in college sports.
40 times over.
Yeah, not once, not twice. Also, it's not like he didn't know about it either, because he did admit to sending Venmo transactions, Zelle transactions. He went to multiple apps here in which you can exchange money electronically so his friends could place bets for him. So I'm not buying that he just didn't know or anything like that. I mean,
so what happens if he breaks other team rules?
Or if he does this again?
Well, if he does it again, and the judge put that in the order today, that if he breaks any of the violations, or if he violates any of the things that the judge put in there, then what he says is the NCAA can then come back to him to see what's up. He didn't even say it will be immediately revert back to being ineligible. Basically, he said, you can come see me and we'll revisit it.
But this was a team rule, correct?
This is a rule of the NCAA.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that also means it's a rule for all the players.
Sure.
So you have other players on the team who break rules. They break a curfew. They go out and commit a crime. They can't be kicked off now.
Right.
Well, that's just
set a precedence.
Jen. Yeah. I mean, and that's one of the things I said on Twitter this morning is that now you can just claim to be a victim, go to some form of counseling, whether you mean it or not. And
All better.
We're not trying to make light of the fact that this young man needs help.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to Elijah's point, I mean, look, he's admitted to placing nearly 3,000 bets. This isn't like, oh man, no, you got a problem.
Yeah.
But I can't buy the notion that the only real way to fix your mental health isn't just counseling, but to also be allowed to be paid $4 to $5 million to play football again this year. No, that's just, and again, the message that it sends, the precedent to your point, Jen, that it sets is, all right, I'll claim to be a victim, I'll sue, I'll get an injunction or hope to. How many kids are going to take that path? This is a bad day for college sports. You're listening to the Postgame Show. All right, welcome back in. 11 minutes in front of 5 o'clock here on a Monday afternoon, top of the hour. Headlines coming up. Gamecock Notebook. Revisit, he tried to say in English, a few minutes of our conversation with David Cloninger on the baseball search. Drive around the SEC, which today might be a drive toward Omaha, considering that the bulk of the teams going are from the SEC.
Doing it again.
So there's that. But this is always, listen, I love Jay or Nay. It has become one of my, in fact, I told Terry Ford when I was away for a while during my recovery after surgery and such, that the only reason I was coming back into the studio was to do face-to-face Jay or Nay. But some of you might not know that the one and only Elijah Campbell is the creator of Jay or Nay.
Wow.
It's a monster of my imagination.
And with that, Jen, let's play today's Jay or Nay with the OG, Elijah Campbell.
Oh, I love this music, too. This is funky.
It's my favorite.
If I had buttons on a shirt, I'd be unbuttoning it just one by one. Really funky.
What a great show.
Oh, I love it.
What a great show.
I love match game.
Jay or nay? Big 12 schools should consider a refusal to play Texas Tech this season in light of the Brendan Sorsby ruling.
Consider it Jay. Jay, they absolutely should. Listen, at some point, the schools either have to realize we are the NCAA. Again, too many of us, and I'm guilty of it sometimes as well, believe that the NCAA is the Death Star run by, the Emperor and Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin, and it just floats around out there and
Great
goes
references.
from planet to planet. And it's like, nah, y'all are the NCAA. You voted for these rules. You voted on all of these things. And so, yeah, this is a bad day. And this sets a horrible precedent if this ruling today is allowed to stand when it comes to, again, the cardinal sin, if you will, of sports. Not just college sports, sports in general, So, yeah, they should consider it. And I hope that Bob Bowlesby, the commissioner, comes out with some kind of statement like, this is egregious. And we, the members of the Big 12, other than Texas Tech, think it's a pretty crappy deal, or whatever words he might like to use.
Use the other words.
Yeah. So
I won't
yes,
tell on him.
That's a J. That's a J for me. Thank you.
Jay or nay? The Spurs win tonight and push the Knicks to an uncomfortable Game 4 environment at MSG.
Yeah, I think this is a J. I think the Spurs are going to win tonight. They're too good a team to get swept. The other night was crazy. Game 1, I kind of saw coming. Game 2, I didn't. And again, the ending of that game was interesting. Nothing nefarious, mind you.
Just young and dumb.
Yeah, but they're really good. And I think Wemby will look at tonight's opportunity and go, all right, I'm gonna go do something.
Big stage.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do something.
The MSG.
So I that's a J. I think San Antonio wins tonight.
I think a lot of media are awfully eager to bury San Antonio. I'm not ready to do that yet.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. Now, if they lose tonight, then it's 3-0.
yeah.
I mean, I call this the Kevin Millar game. Don't let us get one.
Right.
Don't let them get one tonight, because you know how uncomfortable MSG would be with these people that paid all that money to go and watch and wait all this time for a championship team, and then you're on the verge of blowing it. That would not be very comfortable for them.
Yeah.
Jay or nay?
Yep.
Shohei Ohtani is on pace for the single greatest individual season in the history of pro sports.
Ooh, wow. Well, I mean, based on what he's doing,
If you need to tell the tape here.
I'm trying to think of just I mean, I'm gonna say Jay, because he's just so elite at both things, and we've never really seen that. I don't know how elite Babe was when he was doing it more than 100 years ago, before he switched to full-time fielding and hitting.
And hot dog eating.
Yeah, and beer drinking and cigar smoking and skirt chasing, which apparently he was also an all-star at. So that's good.
They don't call him the average Bambino.
That's right. So, yeah, and I'd love to see him be able to win the MVP and the Cy Young. I don't think baseball writers will do that.
They should.
They should, And based on what he's doing, yeah. But
leading the National League in on-base percentage.
Yeah.
Leading it in OPS,
Yeah.
so on-base percentage plus slugging.
Yeah.
Leading the league in Bonzian fashion in intentional walks.
right?
Oh, yeah. In pitching, his ERA, 0.74. His walks hits per innings pitched, 0.78.
It's kind of sick, man.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, he's that good. He's that good. So, yeah, Jay, there have been some amazing individual seasons, for sure. I mean, I guess some of like Wilt's best years or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Which are like averaging 53 and 30.
Yeah, but, I mean, are we looking at something comparable?
This is like Tom Brady winning the MVP at quarterback and defensive player of the
I
year
was
and
going to
edge
say,
rusher.
we just don't have those kind of players anymore doing that. So I like it. Headlines coming up. That was fun.
Earlier accident has been cleared. That's good news. Just some heavy traffic, I-26 eastbound, right along the Calhoun-Lexington line. So be cautious and allow a little extra time there. As far as forecast goes, yep, we are looking at it just kind of, we had some pop-up showers earlier and more in the Columbia area. So just a few pop-up cells that are kind of in the area, might be until about 6 o'clock or so, and then they will be clearing out. Aside from that, we'll have some clouds, overnight low of 70 tomorrow, 86, and 91 on Wednesday. Right now, though, again, a little bit of rain downtown Columbia, and it is 78.
It is indeed 5 o'clock news time on this Monday. It's also the final hour of the postgame show. Welcome back in alongside Elijah Campbell. I'm Jay Phillips. Terry Ford is off for a couple of days on dad duty out west. Jen Jensen, the incomparable Jen Jensen, is at master control for us this afternoon. We start our headlines with no news on the Gamecock baseball search. I know that disappoints some of you who are hoping as you tune into us to finally hear something on Carolina baseball. South Carolina has, of course, in the last few days spoken in person with Coastal Carolina head baseball coach Kevin Schnall. And by all accounts, those meetings went well, but there has been no formal offer put to Kevin Schnall, most likely because South Carolina continues to at least have conversations or wants to have, as the situation may dictate, conversations with candidates, now 3 of whom seemingly, based on reports, are coaching in Omaha. I can guarantee you that these men are coaching in Omaha. Where they may be on South Carolina's list of potential candidates may be up to Jeremiah Donati. But West Virginia's Steve Sabins, Troy's Skylar Meade, and somewhat surprisingly from last week, North Carolina's Scott Forbes all seem to be in the mix, along with Kevin Schnall, to become the next head baseball coach at South Carolina. I don't think it gets any farther off of that list, to be perfectly honest with you, because I believe should it fall even to Skylar Meade, if there is not a level of interest from the other 3, Elijah, that Skylar Meade would say yes to coming back to South Carolina, where he was pitching coach under Mark Kingston for, 3 or 4 seasons before moving on to coach the Trojans.
I'll say this. There's 2 sides to this coin, Jay Phillips.
Yeah.
One, if you have 3 different coaching candidates that are legitimate candidates for your job that you're interviewing actively, well, you can't actively interview, I guess,
pursuing.
Pursuing, right? You talking to them to a degree, maybe indirectly, right?
Agent talk.
But if that's going on with 3 of the 8 coaches in the College World Series, you're doing pretty good. Yeah. And if you're extending your search into like this late into the offseason because of that, that's a plus. But if the coach you end up hiring is not one of those 3, bad sign. Very bad sign. Very, 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 very bad sign. So the waiting, the no news is good news, but it can also be bad news if none of that comes to fruition.
Right. Even if it's Kevin Schnall? Or beyond Kevin Schnall, perhaps.
Yeah, beyond Kevin Schnall.
Yeah,
if it's Kevin Schnall, I think that's still good news.
Yeah. So those 4 seem to be where we are, but it is. There's, and as I've said throughout the afternoon, and we'll discuss this more. We spoke with David Cloninger earlier in the program, and Jen's going to carve up a few minutes of that for us to play back in part of the Gamecock Notebook, so you can get DC's direct take on this situation. But there's a bit of irony in this, in that, Elijah. Gamecock fans are ready to get to hire and know what direction this program's going. But look at the success these guys are having. And these are the guys that are firmly in the mix for your job. So I don't think this is a negative. I understand why some do. But, again, there's a lot of irony. I find it ironic. You almost are pulling for somebody to just go ahead and lose. And yet, Dad, gummit there. You made it to the College World Series? No, I need you in Columbia. It's like, where I want you to make the College World Series.
Buddy, the portal's open.
So
you got to have a little Lane Kiffin in you, right?
But we'll discuss with David Cloninger coming up in just a little bit as part of the Gamecock Notebook. In the meantime, huge ruling today out in Texas where Judge Ken Curry heard the case against Brendan Sorsby, the NCAA ruling him ineligible about a month ago, and then just even this past week after the Sorsby injunction hearing, denying the appeal of Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby to have him reinstated as an active college athlete. But today, Judge Curry ruled in favor of Sorsby, saying that his attorneys did demonstrate that he would suffer irreparable harm if he was not allowed to play this coming season for Texas Tech. This despite Sorsby's own admission that he placed at least 2,900 bets totaling more than $30,000, perhaps, according to some reports, as much as $90,000 bet over the last 4 years, and 40 of which were were on his own team when he was playing at the University of Indiana as a redshirt quarterback back in 2022. Again, betting on your own team once is grounds for permanent ineligibility, we know as a fact. Like we said earlier, Elijah, and throughout this case, at least in the last few weeks, this is not conjecture. These are not opinions. These are like, well, I think it was around. No, they now know. It is documented that he placed 40 different bets on Indiana football while he was at IU, one of which was an under. I forget for which total, passing yards, points, who knows, doesn't matter. Typically, he said, wasn't anything that was ever against us or to lose or whatever. Well, when you're betting an under,
it kind of is.
And that's really an over-under bet from the inside. That's an information that you're like, yeah, we're not going to.
Especially since you're practicing, and you're
Right.
probably practicing against the starting defense and say, wow, these guys are cheeks this week.
And those are some red flags that ultimately get raised through the sports books. Sorsby did not start his rehab until he was caught, basically. So even if he's admitted to having a problem, which it would seem obvious that he does, he didn't start any kind of rehabilitative process until the NCAA came to him and Texas Tech back in March and said, you see all this? This isn't disputable. And he, at that point, basically admitted, nope, you're right, it's not.
You caught me.
Yeah.
2 hands up.
Yeah.
You caught me. I did it.
And now, again, the sports world minus Texas Tech supporters in this country, I say the sports world, the college sports world in this country, by and large today, is apoplectic.
Rightfully so.
That this happened. Because it goes directly against the number one rule in sports. You can't bet on your own team, even if you're betting for them. Pete Rose always said, I only bet on the Reds to win. And maybe you did, maybe you didn't, Pete. I don't know. But even if you did, you can't do it. And this kid did it 40 different times. And by the way, that's just betting on IU football. He bet while he was at Cincinnati. He didn't bet on Cincinnati football because he transferred from IU to Cincy. But he bet on other sports on campus, which is basically cardinal rule number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And college athletes are not allowed to bet on sports at all. And he was betting on all kinds of crap. And some of it, okay, people say, there's $5 bets at a baseball game and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. The rule's the rule. Now, some of these rules, again, if a college kid wants to bet on an NBA game, I don't care. But I get why the NCAA cares. Anything that brings integrity into question is frowned upon. You can't do it. And I don't see these rules changing anytime soon. They might, they need to get with the times. There's too many betting apps and too many commercials. I understand all that. We are kind of flooded with these things these days. I totally understand it. One of my favorite podcasts is sponsored by one of the betting apps. And it's about college football. So I get it. I get it.
But you know what? There's also a lot of ads for yummy Oreos, and so those with the sugar addiction,
Well, I saw somebody do that, Jen, that said, do we start suing grocery stores for obesity?
Yeah.
Or do we sue a brewery for alcoholism? And I'm not trying to make light of any of these things.
Not
None
at
of us
all,
are. But wait, at some point, there's personal responsibility that has to be taken. And this kid has basically, I hate to say sadly, so I don't want to use that word. Somehow, this guy's attorneys convinced a judge in Texas that he's a victim and that the preponderance of the evidence that they have suggests to him, the judge, that he would prevail in court on his merits, seemingly saying, yeah, I think a jury would find that you are a victim, even though you placed nearly 3,000 bets, each of which you knew were against the rules of the organization's umbrella that you're playing under as a student athlete.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if we want to apply this other places, I can see, a beer commercial. I know that there is a risk involved of drinking it. Bad for my liver long term. I know what the health risks are. I know that I can't go out and drink a bunch of it and try to get in my car. It's understood, right? As an adult, that's part of the responsibility, is that there is an understood risk to whatever it is that you do. And that's why they have the disclaimers at the end of gambling commercials. If you have a problem,
that you can't
call
understand,
this,
but
you
yes.
can't understand because they go so fast through them.
Right.
That, look, if you need help, this is the number for the helpline, all this type of stuff. Do so responsibly. You hear that at the end of almost every alcohol commercial, right? Anything that's selling things like that, there's a disclaimer there for it. So you can do these things, but you better know what the risks are and what the punishments are if you do them when you're not allowed to do them, right?
I bet they signed a waiver. But they signed a waiver before they even played football.
Oh, and they have meetings. Preston tells us in the mornings that even when he was playing, before anyone knew what an app was on your phone, because we didn't have those back in the early 2000s, that if you sports gamble, you will get caught and you will no longer have eligibility and you'll face legal consequences, right? They had a SLED officer that would go in there and tell the entire team that. It's understood even beyond this era, right? Even way back before this era, it's been understood. So the fact that we can now just change, like one judge can say, you know what, we can make an exception for this guy because he has a problem. He's got a mental health problem. We really need to support him in this. And if we don't let him play football, then we can't support him. That is a crock of BS. That's not true. You can support somebody and still have them face the consequences of what their actions were. And the consequence for that action is not being eligible to play college football.
The NCAA did put out a statement saying that they're incredibly disappointed in the ruling. No word yet as of this afternoon whether or not they will appeal. Their statement today read, the NCAA strongly disagrees with the court's ruling in Sorsby's case and is deeply concerned about the damaging, far-reaching, and broadly destabilizing ramifications of this outcome, which undermines and corrupts the integrity of sport. The NCAA is committed to supporting student-athlete mental health, but must continue to aggressively defend against actions that defraud college athletics and threaten competitive integrity, such as betting on one's own sport. Again, they can and most assuredly will appeal, though they have not officially announced that. And like I said earlier, based on some of the things I read today in responses to some of the national writers, it feels like this is something that is basically by Texas law immediately put into the appeals process. It's just that perhaps that appeals process is slow moving in Texas. Can the NCAA do anything to get, whether it's appellate courts in Texas or anything at the federal level, to hear this well in advance of the start of Texas Tech's football season, or even as soon as next week when Sorsby would still need to enter or have the deadline to enter any potential NFL supplemental draft? They still have about a week to do that. So we'll see.
Don't think we're getting any resolution in a week.
I don't think so. But in my opinion, and I know you feel the same way, a damaging ruling to the future of college athletics if this is the precedent that is set. Now, again, it could be that Sorsby gets to play this season. They'll drop their case, but the NCAA may have some kind of relief beyond that to where this doesn't become precedent. Again, this is dangerous. As it currently stands, this is dangerous for the future, because whether somebody needs help or not, you can just claim that you do and say, the sickness made me do it.
And I don't think this is going to deter other players from betting on their team or against their team, because now they see an example of somebody who just got away with it.
Yeah. And he, by the way, in this young man's case, he's going to also make somewhere between $4 and $5 million.
I think it's on the high end of that, too.
I think so, too. That's today's integrated media headlines. We'll come back. David Cloninger joined Elijah and me earlier with his take on what's going on around the Gamecock baseball search. We'll do that. Gamecock Notebook next. It is Gamecock Notebook time here on this Monday. Jay Phillips, Elijah Campbell with you. Elijah's stretching for those of you YouTube viewers. He's got softball here a little bit. They're going to play. They're going to play. They're going to get it in.
I think we're in the clear. I think we're good.
A little muddy. You're ready for it.
Yeah, these shoes ain't coming inside.
That's right. That's right. They can go in the wash. It'll be fine. We talked with David Cloninger a little bit earlier, and let's jump right into that. DC of the Post and Courier joining us, and we got him to just say, hey, tell us, how is it that we still, at this point, don't have a baseball coach at Carolina? I suppose perhaps people thought, all right, we won't get to Monday and still be looking for a coach, and yet here we are. So what are we dealing with?
Your guess is as good as mine, Jay. I mean, it stands to reason. This is me just connecting dots. We know that they've talked with Kevin Schnall multiple times, and I would think if they wanted him as a coach, he'd be here as a coach, because I have heard nothing from the people I talk to around Coastal and Kevin to suggest that he doesn't want the job. So, okay, well, why haven't you got him? Well, maybe there's a bigger fish out there you think you can land. Of all the names I've heard that are those bigger fish, all of them going to be playing this week.
Yeah.
So I think that they're up against the proverbial wall. Like, listen, if you really think you can go get somebody better, okay, I can see that. But that means you're going to cost yourself Kevin Schnall, because if you're him, what would you do? I'm not going to sit around and say, hey, we're waiting on this other guy. But if not, we'll give you a call. I'd be like, so long, guys. Don't talk to me. I've already interviewed at Tennessee and South Carolina. I'll get another interview. Don't need you. Bye. So to me, it seems like they're kind of playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire here. They're at that $250,000 level. That's good to walk away with. But man, if you could just get to that 500 or that million, well, that's always the risk, isn't it? So we'll have to see how it goes. But I'm surprised that I haven't heard anything by now at 3:36 on Monday, when you kind of know who the candidates are going to be playing and who's not.
David Cloninger, how serious do you think the Scott Forbes thing is right now? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like this is serious as a heart attack, they're just waiting for North Carolina to get dropped in the College World Series.
Well, I would say of South Carolina's interest in Scott Forbes, I'd say it's probably about a 9. In the reality of Scott Forbes, no matter what happens, actually accepting the job and come here, I'd give it probably about a 0.5. That's just from what I know. I think that this is all he's just playing it to get UNC to give him what he wants, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I really do not think that Scott Forbes, if it ever came, hey, make a decision, that he would actually leave UNC for another job. The guy's invested in UNC. So, but I'm not in the athletic director's office, so maybe he's hearing something different. But the fact is, he's going to be playing this week, and others aren't that are interested in the job. So it's, if you're going to continue to wait on him, you better be real sure he's eventually going to say yes.
I know Dan Fitzgerald's name, the head coach at Kansas, kind of fell off and out of the discussion, but he's done now. And look, they got beat pretty badly by Oklahoma today, so that doesn't leave a great taste in a lot of people's mouths. But any indications, David, that Coach Fitzgerald kind of re-enters this conversation now that his season's done?
Honestly, Jay, I really haven't heard Fitzgerald's name in about a week to 10 days, somewhere in that range, and I don't expect that to change. I think that there's been a commitment on Kansas's end to give him what he needs out there, what he wants out there. So if it weren't for that, maybe, but I don't think that it's going to pop up now, unless, of course, Dan were to say, you know something, I think I've done all I can. Let me give South Carolina a call. If he calls USC, I'm sure they'll listen, but I don't anticipate that happening.
Going from one Big 12 coach to another, what Steve Sabins has done at West Virginia is pretty remarkable. Historic for that program. And I think the one thing in college baseball this weekend, or the last 2 weekends, has been like what that atmosphere is like in Morgantown. Now, clearly, I would say an SEC job with more history and more resources and more proof of financial commitment to the program is something that would be awfully appealing. But would this be one of those instances with Steve Sabins where it actually ends up becoming a decision, or can USC just outbid them to the point where it would be kind of foolish for him to not take it?
Well, I've heard all along, Elijah, that he was going to be the second candidate if Kevin Schnall said no, and I've heard nothing to come off that. However, circumstances have changed. He's going to be playing this weekend, and if it comes down to like saying, okay, which of these guys is going to lose first out in Omaha so I can call them, I don't know if that's the best way to play it. Also, if you are Steve Sabins and you've been there for a while, only head coach for 2 years, but you've taken this program where it's never gone. You've seen the emotion that they have and getting around and singing, take me home country roads after the games. I think it'd be really tough for him to leave. That said, USC can offer a lot more than West Virginia. And even if it comes to we've got some big money boosters coming in and they can raise my salary. I'm like, yeah, but you're still not going to be able to play a home game until mid-April or mid-March because your field snowed under. Ain't going to have a problem here. So it obviously didn't affect him last year, and I think what makes him a natural for South Carolina at this point, the guy beat Clemson in a regional on its home field. How could you not want him? But it's got to be a two-way door, I tell people this all the time in coaching searches. They got to want to come here too. No indication that Steve Saban does or does not want to come to South Carolina because I know he's on the list, but it just gets back into the Forbes Skylar Meade situation. How long are you going to wait? Because if you do wait, you're probably going to cost yourself a coach that will take the job right now.
Well, you just mentioned Skylar Meade. That's the last one we'll talk about. Obviously very familiar to Gamecock fans as a pitching coach under Mark Kingston. He's been doing a nice job at Troy. I know you put out in your latest piece that even though he's only been to the tournament twice, he was on that last 4 out line a couple of different times. It's a great league, the Sun Belt. We know what Coastal does. We know what Southern Miss does. Troy is now emerging as one of those kind of schools. If it came to Skylar Meade for a variety of reasons, David, is he saying yes?
I would think so. I wouldn't mind that at all. Skylar's a great guy and a great coach, and you just see what he's done at Troy. But obviously Troy's very hamstrung in what they can give, not a coach just for salary, but in terms of resources so that he can keep winning and that kind of thing. There's a limit, a very severe limit to that well, and I'm sure that he would look at it and say, man, I've done all I can. With Troy, I took Troy to the College World Series, and now I need to go and see if I can do this on the biggest level there is, which is SEC baseball. So the only thing I would worry about, Jay, when it becomes known, and it pretty much already is, you've targeted Kevin Schnall, Scott Forbes, Steve Sabins, and none of them said yes. Okay, well, you got Skylar Meade. I think that's cool. That's fine. Great coach. But there'll be a lot of fans be out there like, what? Yeah. Especially considering how some other recent coaching searches have gone. It'll be like how come you never have a viable plan B? I mean, if Skylar Meade had been targeted from the beginning, sure. But even in my initial hot board, I'm like, he's a guy you probably kick the tires on, but nah, you probably don't go to him right now. But he's kind of played himself into consideration.
All right, got about a minute for you. This goes how much longer? I mean, we looking at least the opening weekend of the World Series?
Oh man, well, I think if it lasts much past Wednesday, I think that you'll know. It's like, okay, well they're waiting, and that'll pretty much, in my view, just my view, that would pretty much say to me, okay, Schnall's out.
Yeah.
Because how much do you got to wait before you're hamstringing yourself and your program for next year? I know the guy was at work today, working on his roster reconstruction for next year, discussing transfer portal plans, that kind of thing. So we'll see how long it goes. But, you always have to say, unless he's told you a time that you need to come to him, he might just wake up and say, you know what, the heck with this. I'm done waiting, and I know I'm going to get other interviews in the future. So, hey, Coastal all the way.
Last thing real quick, you know who the Braves' newest good luck charm is, right? He's sitting right next to me. He went this weekend, and they swept. Elijah Campbell.
Really?
Yeah.
Want to know with
I'm
me in the
happy
ballpark.
to hear that, man. But you just went over there to see if Libby was in the stands, didn't you?
What's really funny is the group of guys I was with ran into her in the concourse.
Oh, I'm sure.
Regret to inform you I was not with them for that beer run. I want to say that was in between the 5th and 6th inning. I was not with them, but I did receive the pictures of who they met in the concourse. So can confirm she was there.
Wow.
Well, Atlanta's a strong town.
Good stuff as always, sir. We'll holler at you soon enough, I know.
Sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
David Cloninger, DCPNC on Twitter, postandcourier.com. This is the postgame show. Griffin Pools and Spas ready to help you and your family get that backyard dream you've always had, right? That is to have your own pool, your own vacation spot. And they've been doing this for families across the Midlands for more than 50 years. That's more than 50 years, y'all. So they know what's up. Custom pool design from Griffin. They'll come out, work with you, how big you want, how much room you have, all those kind of things. What's your budget? They can work with you on all of those things for you, too. And then get an aggressive schedule commitment put together so that once it's time to get started and finished, bang, you know what's up. They'll stay with you through the entire process, communication from start to finish and beyond to help you make sure that pool is maintained. Saltwater pools these days, a lot lower maintenance than the old days. They, of course, have quality equipment, maintenance supplies in store, so many other things to make the life around the pool that much more enjoyable. You ready for this? Of course you are. Log on to griffinpoolsandspas.com and tell them we sent you, and then invite us over.
We have traffic stopped again, I-77 northbound between exit 24 and 27, so anticipate that slowdown. Also, it is showing that the right lane is blocked there at I-77 northbound at exit 24, so that's Highway 21. So just a big snarl there on I-77 northbound. Traffic continues to be heavy on I-26 eastbound between Columbia and Orangeburg. And weather-wise, just supposed to be cloudy. There's just a couple cells that are kind of moving out of the Columbia area. And overnight low of 70. Tomorrow's high, 86 with some clouds, 91 on Wednesday. Right now in Columbia, 78, but more like about 82 in Lexington.
All right, welcome back in. A little drive around the SEC. Elijah is on his way out to star in his softball game and or pull a hamstring. I hope not.
I was making sure Elijah was okay.
Yeah. He's okay. He'll be fine. He's young still. But Jen is
He's
here.
the whippersnapper.
That's right. Jen is here hanging out. Are you just here today? Are you here tomorrow?
I'm just here today.
Okay, just today.
Yep.
They don't tell me a whole lot.
I mean, either.
So
So who knows? Tomorrow may change.
Yeah.
But as of right now.
Couple of things in the drive around the SEC. First, the College Sports Commission has had a case against Georgia players with NIL deals. And today, an arbitrator ruled that Georgia players are allowed to receive certain NIL deals. The CSC released details of the decision today, which contained what the AP describes as small victories for both sides. The arbitrator approved the deals with Georgia athletes. And then after the CSC re-reviewed them and determined they fit its range of compensation model that had been updated, the CSC portrayed the decision as one that, quote, reinforces the integrity of the neutral arbitration process. The arbitrator declined to go into further details on the CSC's authority or to award the school the attorney fees it spent in the case. The CSC said it would not make a habit of re-reviewing deals, but because this case involved an adjustment that came after arbitration began, it went back and looked at it again. Georgia did not initially respond to the Associated Press. I don't know exactly what this really means, other than the College Sports Commission has its hands full trying to figure this stuff out.
I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah. I don't have any other details on exactly what kind of money we're talking about, what kind of sponsorships we're talking about in terms of the businesses involved. A lot of this involves who is actually paying the players. Like, for instance, the Nebraska case, the College Sports Commission about a month ago, they won but lost all at the same time, only because the Nebraska law allows for their attorney general to basically go back and do it all over again through state court instead of the arbitration process. So those players will probably ultimately get paid at Nebraska, but they had like a third-party arm of their media rights company. So, like, like here we have Learfield. I don't know who does Nebraska's, but it was some affiliated group with their media rights people that was paying these players, and the CSC said, no. You can't do that. That's just pay for play. Like, they're not a business that sponsors people. They don't have a service to provide. You have to show us that you're doing this for a
something.
Construction company, a car dealer, a restaurant, whatever. Like, you're not doing that here. So I don't know what happened with the Georgia people, but these Georgia kids that went to the arbitrator are going to get paid. So, but it just goes to show you that it's a mess.
It is a true mess.
Yeah, it's just
once the money started rolling in, this is where we thought we would end up. I really think.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Because again, I don't want to get into it because I've already been on my high horse a couple of times today, and I haven't used this one yet. But I mean, you want all this crap to end, you need to go collectively bargain.
Collective bargain. Yep.
I mean, whether people are afraid of unions, hate unions, whatever, I get it, especially in large parts of the South. But
is this what we wanted?
Well, do you want litigation every time for everything?
Yeah.
No, you don't. And it just a CBA will end that.
Yep. I'm all for the kids getting paid.
Yeah,
no problem.
Me too. But I mean, we just can't have this on it. It just can't. The field is set for Omaha. 2 games today that were actually games that needed to be resumed after rain delays yesterday. Alabama beat St. John's 7-2. They win their series 2-0. And Oklahoma took it to Kansas today in Lawrence 13-2 after they went to in the third
inning. Cubs game.
Yeah, down 8-1. So Oklahoma is in, and now the field is set for Omaha. Here's how it looks. On Friday, Troy will take on West Virginia. West Virginia will be the home team. So that's it Friday at 2 o'clock. Friday night, 7 o'clock, Mississippi will take on North Carolina, the 5 seed. And then on Sunday, it is nothing but SEC, kids. Oklahoma takes on Alabama, and Texas takes on Georgia. So that's how it looks. So, yes, 5 teams from the Southeastern Conference
That's what I
in the
was making
field of
notes.
8.
Love it.
And again, Saturday is all SEC, which I'm sure will make everybody else out there real happy.
Oh, I know. I love it.
Heads will be exploding.
Yeah. Oh, we don't care about baseball. Let's get on to football.
Yeah, the Troy West Virginia game. I almost wish that wasn't. Look, they're bracketed, so that it had to work out that way. But I almost wish that could be something else. But at the same time, one of those teams is going to advance. And again, Skylar Meade coaching Troy.
I was just going to say, does that give us a little rooting interest? But yet we want to support the SEC teams.
Maybe. Depends on how you look at it. At least in that game, you could.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Carolina likely all has 3 coaching candidates playing on Friday. Skylar Meade at Troy. We just said Steve Sabins at West Virginia in that game. Scott Forbes at North Carolina. And, of course, Kevin Schnall of Coastal Carolina remains squarely, firmly in the mix and perhaps still at the top of the list. And that Jeremiah Donati is simply doing his due diligence in an effort to make certain that if there are interested parties, and in this case we believe there are, that those 3 men that we just mentioned are definitely interested in South Carolina's job, that he does everything he can to dot every I, cross every T, check every box, whatever other analogy you want to put in there, and make sure you get the right guy. So we shall see.
And you know what? I would like us to know, but I also would like it to be where they are taking their time, because this is a big.
Yeah.
I mean, this has to be a grand slam.
It does, and you. I mentioned this, and I know you all talked a lot about the same things on the morning show, Jen. But one of the things that I've told Terry is you're getting to a point where if this one doesn't go well, and look, there are no guarantees. Even if you hired the whoever out there, right, Coach O'Connor from if you got him to come over from Mississippi State, or if you got Jim Schlossnagle to leave Texas to come to Columbia, whatever. There's no guarantees, no matter who you go get. But if you don't get this one right, then, and let's say it's 5 years from now, and you just know that, the next time around when you're looking for a coach, the kids that you'll be recruiting weren't alive when you were last good at this sport.
That's a really good point.
And it'll just be like, well, yeah, and I was joking with Terry about it, like, yeah, my dad tells me that y'all were good once when you're on the recruiting trip. Mm-hmm. And even now, the kids you're recruiting were very little when you were last good, but at least they were alive. So you have to look at it from, and I'm not saying that's the only thing you're looking at, but my point being that you'll have a generation basically go by.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been
you don't really want that.
No, you don't. I mean, look, for Georgia, it's been 18 years since they were in Omaha. It doesn't feel that way, but it's been 18 years.
It's crazy.
For Alabama, it was 1999 the last time they were there. That's, but neither one of them are South Carolina when it comes to baseball. Mm-hmm. And that's the hard part for Carolina fans.
Yeah.
I mean, you're now looking at 14 years. I mean, it's
we shut down a ballpark and we opened one up.
Yeah, but it's 14 years. I mean, the time it's weird, but the time in between Coach Rain's last trip and Ray's first trip was 17 years. And you might be looking at something real similar by the time it's all. I mean, the odds of getting to Omaha next season are slim. Mm-hmm. And people may say, well, Texas did it with a new coach. That's a little different.
Yeah,
a little different. So. We'll see. But once again, the field in Omaha is set, and 5 of the 8 from the SEC. Once again, Friday, Troy versus West Virginia. The night game, Mississippi versus North Carolina. Saturday afternoon, Oklahoma against Alabama. And the Saturday nightcap is one that I think the winner is in prime position to win the whole thing, and that's Texas versus Georgia. I think those are the 2 best teams that are left in this field, to be perfectly honest with you. Mm-hmm. And I think the winner has the inside track to be a national champion. We shall see. That's the drive around the SEC. This is the postgame show. 11 minutes in front of 6 o'clock here on this Monday. Jay Phillips, Jen Jensen with you here for the final few minutes of the program. Thanks again to Elijah for hanging out. He is on his way to his softball game, so he needed to leave a little bit early. And thankfully, they're going to get it in, so that's good.
It looks that way. Might be, again, like you said, a little muddy shoes, but other than that.
Well, they're already muddy. I saw them. They were already at least clay tinted.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens pretty quickly.
Yeah, and it doesn't come out. I mean, even bleached.
I'm a little disappointed that wasn't in, like, the white pants,
Yeah, I don't know what the
stirrups
uniform or if they just show up. I don't know. But he was doing his stretching live on YouTube, so hopefully, I say hopefully, or unfortunately, depending on one's point of view, you've got to see that on the live stream.
I was envisioning a scene from Friends, and we won't go into that, but I just was hoping that was
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, thank you for being prepared, Elijah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah. Anyway. And Elijah will be hosting tomorrow's program. Yours truly will be heading up to Durham for a little bit for my next round of checkups.
Okay.
And should be on the remote equipment somewhere in the middle of the program.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, and then back on Wednesday.
Look at you being dedicated.
Yeah, man. Well, I like to work, so it's good. And Terry is away moving his daughter back east after her 4 years in Boulder, Colorado at the University of Colorado and driving a U-Haul.
I'm just hearing Terry with the 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Oof.
Yeah.
Like I told him, again, in a U-Haul, I hope it has an 8-track.
Does Terry know how to drive a vehicle like of that size?
He said it wasn't a big U-Haul. I don't know I don't know exactly how big this is and exactly how much stuff. I mean, a college kid that doesn't live in a dorm anymore, even if you have roommates, you can accumulate stuff.
Yeah.
And she's probably got a bed and a dresser and a side table, maybe a TV.
Yeah, it was pretty easy for me to pack up my car from school because I was in the dorm.
Yeah. No, we moved one of my daughters, and she had a house. Her and like 4 roommates.
Okay, but still.
But she had stuff, and she was on the second floor and in the back. Like it was not fun.
No, she needed to flip a coin to get a better spot.
Yeah,
for your sake.
I don't know how all that worked, but nevertheless,
they didn't ask you.
Let me ask you, as a homeowner, like a lot of us have a big freezer. You keep, stuff in it.
Yeah.
What's something old and unexpected that you found in your freezer that you can think of? You're like, oh, I didn't know that was in there. I forgot we had that. Like maybe a bag of chicken that you got at Sam's like years prior.
Yeah, it's funny. We actually,
I am leading up to this.
Okay. This happened recently because we had a little seal problem and ended up having to take a lot of things out of the freezer because it kind of melted. But
not the animal.
I had
or the singer, seal.
Oh, don't make me! I don't want to hear any of his music. But I did find some, I think, a beef from Portillo's.
Okay.
And because sometimes we like to get the Chicago food.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I forgot about that because Portillo's beef's good.
Yeah, that was probably kind of old.
Yeah, it was old. Yeah.
But you probably never found 20 sticks of live dynamite in your freezer, have you?
I can honestly say no.
A homeowner in Los Angeles this past weekend was cleaning out an old freezer in her garage, and she found 20 sticks of live dynamite in the freezer. Now, she says that the freezer was in the home when she and her late husband bought the home. And the police came to look and think that maybe it was her husband that had actually acquired the 20 sticks of still live dynamite. So, of course, she did the right thing and called the cops.
Mm-hmm.
And the cops basically, and now I'm going to paraphrase from the article, went, oh, crap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so they called the LAPD bomb squad to the home, evacuated the neighborhood.
Oh, my gosh.
Assessed the situation, safely removed the explosives, and the evacuation order was lifted a few hours later. So this wasn't a case of 911, what's your emergency? Yeah, I found some dynamite.
I can believe this.
Yeah. So they apparently got there and were like, oh, and they had, one of the, I'm looking at here on Yahoo News, but apparently It's L.A., man. So everybody's got a helicopter for the news teams on TV.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
So they got a helicopter circling over this
course they
poor
do.
woman's home.
Oh, my gosh.
You know,
how
like, almost
embarrassing.
waiting, like, oh, hey, maybe this house will blow up.
One can only hope.
And you know that's what they were waiting for, right?
You got Don Henley's, dirty laundry in the background.
The LAPD captain that was on the scene, by the way, spoke to People magazine.
Of course.
Of course, because it's L.A. Said the dynamite remained stable and did not detonate. However, he warned that if all 20 sticks had exploded, the blast would have caused significant damage in the surrounding neighborhood.
I would have loved to know what the span would have been.
Homeowner pro tip here, check your freezer.
Yeah, make sure no dynamite.
Make sure there's no dynamite. Side of beef, maybe some venison,
Yeah,
some old chicken, sure.
yeah. Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah. Dynamite, not
No,
so much.
not so much.
Glad everybody's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry that the LA TV stations didn't get the footage they were.
I know. What a bummer.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming.
Good
Thanks
to
to
be seen.
Elijah. Thanks to David Cloniger. Do it again tomorrow at 3. See you.
Still a bit of a slowdown on I-77 northbound around mile marker 21, so do be careful in that area. A little bit of standing water in the Columbia area Not so much the outskirts, but that little bit of rain should be making its way out. And as far as your forecast goes, looking for an overnight low of about 70. Tomorrow, a high of about 92. Right now, though, we are sitting at 85. 107.5 The Game.